So we have all seen how the drama unfolded in the Oval Office, where um, you know there was one guy who flew all the way 6,000 miles to meet and to ask for favors, and then this guy actually turned out to basically start a war with the Trump. You know how absurd it can become. You know, when you are going to ask for something and then you are converting that as if this is a ego battle which is going on, and you end up returning empty handed, and also you need to do a lot of damage control, so imagine things like this. If there was no American hand behind the Ukraine crisis, there was no war at all. We all know that, the amount of help that was being provided, amount of weaponry, soldiers, and also the support in terms of sanctions on Russia, this war would have ended quickly. It's like, a small country, invading a large. Imagine a situation when a Panama attacks US in future, and then Panama says, "Oh, I control the battlefield. I control everything. I have the cards," as Trump mentioned once. So it looks very, very sort of absurd and sort of counterproductive discussion, especially for Ukraine, that happened in the White House. Now, this has happened. I'm not too concerned about, because that is Ukraine, that is America. No concerns with rest of the world. They are fighting. They are providing from their taxpayer money. Somebody wants to support the Ukraine war. Up to them. The intention is to understand what has gone wrong and what is the learning that the management of today can draw from this particular discussion between Zelensky and Trump. And therefore, the first point that I want to talk about is the communication about crisis. So, what has happened? Zelensky has gone there. He is under crisis. He needs money. He needs soldiers. He needs armament. And when he's communicating, about his crisis, he actually end up fighting, a sort of a verbal spat with the person with whom he has the biggest hope, because there is no other country that can provide close to $300 billion to Ukraine for the fight, right? Ukraine without US is not in the fight at all. We all know that. So as a management person, when you actually have to communicate crisis within your team, you need to choose the right words. You need to remain positive in your outlook. You need to convey it to the team in a way that it is understood in a right perspective. You need to be humble. You need to be apologetic. You need to be, you need to understand what is the crisis all about, and you have to talk about how you can get rid of this crisis that you and your team is going to face. And therefore, crisis communication, or communication about crisis, is one of the key factors that we must pick up from this particular incident that happened in the White House Oval Office. And who is the most affected party? It is the Zelensky who is the most affected party, not even Ukraine. The most affected party is Zelensky. Now he has to go around and basically sort of beg or strike a deal with people across the world who can give him money so that he can continue the fight. And the most powerful ally is walking away, taking away everything that they have provided in last 4 years. And therefore, the most affected party is Zelensky. Therefore, management lesson for all of us to see is that we need to understand what crisis we are facing, and we need to hone our communication skills to ensure that we actually do not increase the crisis, do not escalate the crisis. We need to basically reduce the crisis. So that is number one, learning from this incident. What is number two? It is the leadership under pressure. When leadership is under pressure, they tend to basically, after all, leaders are humans. So they tend to basically take some wrong decisions. They tend to, throw tantrums depending on different situations, different people. As I said, there is no standard bookmark for defining what is the leadership under pressure. But then leaders do get under pressure, and when they do get under pressure, they are answerable to many entities back home. Now, in this case, Zelensky probably was answerable to his own army, to his own core team, to his own people who are standing in front of with him in front of Russia and fighting Russia. And also, a lot of people were dying as well on both sides. So, there was a lot of pressure. Of course, there was a pressure of money, there was pressure of how do I arm my soldiers, how do I provide food for them, how do I take care of the civilians which are there in my country. So therefore this leadership was under pressure, and therefore the learning for rest of the other CEOs and leaders is that you should not come under pressure. Whatever happens, you must keep calm. And if you come under pressure and you try to throw tantrums, like in this case, what happened in the Oval Office in White House, then obviously you will become the loser. Not anybody else, not your company, not your customers, not anybody else, not even your team. You will actually have to bear the consequences of coming under pressure. So this is lesson number 2 that we have to learn from this incident. What is the third one? Third one is about diplomacy and the art of negotiations. Diplomacy is not applicable between countries, and it is not applicable only when the leaders meet. It is applicable everywhere. Even if you go for negotiations with your customer, you need to be diplomatic. You don't want to be talking everything that comes to your mind. You don't want to jabber. You need to learn how to be diplomatic, because customers can also throw a spanner in your strategy, and customer can be smart, because whenever you meet and negotiate with your customer, the customers are also smart. They want to bring your price down. You want to make sure that you don't reduce too much pricing, and therefore in this situation you need to develop very strong diplomacy. Now in this case, the leader here, Zelensky, actually failed to be diplomatic. And it is very surprising that this whole incident happened in public view, in front of the journalist. And Zelensky could have kept quiet, and he could have said that look, I will come back to you, I will need time to think about it. That is something which is diplomatic, rather than trying to gain a upper hand on US president. And I think that was not called for. I think this could have been managed beautifully. And therefore the lesson for all of us is to learn a bit of diplomacy, so that we can be successful in our negotiations. Very, very important. I think this 7-minute clips teaches many things to lot of common people, lot of normal people, especially if you are in leadership role, how you have to behave. Okay. Moving on, what is number 4? Number 4 is building trust. There was clearly visible the trust deficit between the two presidents. One is the president of the most powerful country in the world and oldest democracy, modern democracy in the world, and the other president is not elected president, and therefore the other president is from Ukraine. He is not elected. There are no elections. And so how this president is drawing power? On what basis he is feeling so great about himself? Trump is feeling great about himself because he has got such a high mandate from the public. Nearly 70% of the public has voted for Trump. And for the very first time, after probably George Washington or after Abraham Lincoln, after a very, very long time, Trump is enjoying majority even in the Senate. So Trump is extremely powerful as a president. At least he's going to remain most powerful for next 4 years. Now the other president is not as powerful. However, it was the role of the other president to bring the element of trust, which Zelensky failed to bring on the table. There was absolutely no trust. There was actually zero trust. In fact, both parties were loggerhead in front of the public. So that means they did not discuss their issues prior to coming to that particular platform, and they wanted to make a joint statement. But then what is the point in making a joint statement when there are no agreements at all. When there are no agreements, it was important for Zelensky to say that, look, I will stand, but I will not make any joint statement. That would have happened. Many times the talks fail, but then you don't go around saying that why the talks failed, in public, that too. So therefore, there was an element of mistrust between the parties, and therefore, before even going for negotiations, before even going for a meeting, you need to bring the element of trust. In case you feel that there is a trust deficit, then you should defer the meeting. You can meet after a week, you can meet after a month. Even if you lose the deal, anyway, you are going to lose the deal. I mean, that's one fact that we need to understand. So therefore, instead of meeting and you have to be diplomatic about the whole thing, you can defer the meeting itself. But there's no point in going into that meeting with that trust deficit, and then the whole thing will open up like a can of bombs. Like in this case, it has happened. All right. And I promised 5 points, and the fifth point is, how do you handle the unexpected challenges? It is very, very clear if you look at the 7-minute clip discussion between Zelensky and Trump. There were challenges which were not addressed, and of course, these challenges were unexpected. Well, the challenges were known to everybody, but since they did not clarify these challenges, they did not bring the trust levels up, they did not know how to handle the diplomacy. Therefore, all of these combinations created a situation where there was a challenge, and it looks like that there was an unexpected challenge because none of these things were ironed out. So how do you handle the unexpected challenges? Because many times there could be surprises. So the only thing is that I think this incident, this 7-minute clip, tells us that we should always be ready to handle the unexpected challenges that we may get as leaders many times, because every day we may get these challenges, and we should be having this aptitude of handling these unexpected challenges all the time. And therefore, this is a very big learning watching this particular incident unfolding. Now, what will happen to Ukraine cause, etc.? It's very difficult to say. The European countries are favoring Ukraine, but will they fund the Ukraine crisis? Will they, provide money and armaments to Ukraine? That has to be seen. I personally believe that the war is almost over. There is no money. Every country, European country, is having recession problem, lot of financial issues, and I don't think, just like US, none of the European countries will be able to provide expensive support in terms of money as well as armament. So this is where it ends. War is going to get over very soon if US is not there, and that is where the President Zelensky did not succeed. So with this, I will end my video. Thanks for watching me live, and in case you have any observation or suggestions, feel free to send it across.